Hey, welcome back, everyone. Rob here from Ramp Studio Comics. Let me know when you guys can hear me. I'm going to just start drawing here. We've just surpassed 200,000 subscribers, and I figured I should do a giveaway, but I want to run some ideas by you because I understand that maybe, not everything would apply to everybody that might win the giveaway or kind of thing, so we're going to do that. Icons here, good to have you. Atomic Art, good to have you. Glad you could make it. And I know I didn't send anything out. One Mighty Art, good to have you. I didn't send anything out to say, hey, we're going to be doing this. I just jumped on here. I've been a bit sporadic, as is my nature to be. Yeah, thank you, Minnie Mo, for that. Congrats. Yeah, we hit 200,000 subscribers. Couldn't have did it without you guys, obviously. And just want to say thanks, really. Get back on the live stream and get back on creating some art for you guys. And try to really tailor this stuff to very specific content that you guys need, not just randomly making a video here and there, because I kind of got in a rut of doing that, and it doesn't really help people as well as it should. I also want to do some more types of StreamYard stuff where I bring you guys in, and maybe it doesn't go live, maybe I just like work with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today as well. Anthony Gee, good to have you. Benton Miller, thanks very much for the congrats. Really appreciate that. So I'll get off and running here. We got a few people watching. So what I was thinking is we're going to do a giveaway. Okay. So we've hit that mark. Super honored that you guys would support the channel in that way. And we got to that level. I really didn't see that coming, but I'm super, grateful that it did happen. So what I was thinking is we could do, an art giveaway. Now, obviously that would be original art, or kind of, sort of, because what I'm going to say is it's going to be original art. Thanks so much, SCS Powerlifting, for that donation. Very kind of you. And so the art giveaway would be like, so on the cover I put a picture of Spawn, right? It doesn't have to be the Spawn one. You can go to my DeviantArt, see different. Oh, forgive me, my screen went blank there. Yapping too much and not moving. Imagine that. But so it could be one of the different pieces of art. I'll put at least 3 options up, right? So it could be an original piece of art, but then it got me thinking, like, if I send that art out to you, or maybe I can't even send it to you. I don't know where everybody is at on the globe, right? Thanks, One Mighty R, for that donation of $2. That's awesome of you, and I like the little cool character you shared with that as well. But so you might be somewhere on the globe where the shipping's a big deal, or maybe not even readily available. I mean, I imagine there's parts of the world where I can't even ship things. I don't know. I got to do my due diligence of all that. But what I'm saying is, like, we might have to tailor it differently for somebody else. If that's not an issue, I'm all good with the art giveaway portion. Like I said, I'll share 2 or 3 pieces of art that you can pick from. I was thinking like maybe the Bane one that I drew not too long ago, Spawn, I did one of the Punisher that was traditional. You guys will be able to pick from a couple. The other thing is, if you wanted a different option, it could be $100 worth of digital content. So you go to my Gumroad, my courses, and you'd get $100 worth of digital content at free download. That's another option. The next one was 2 hours of one-on-one mentorship. Now, I thought for a lot of you, this might be the go-to, because we could sit there and I could really delve into what you're facing as an individual artist, and that little bit of coaching that is so important. Like, it really does help, So it's up to you guys, but I thought, there might be some people, if they won the contest, they might want to see that. If you're trying to learn, and you want that or need that, that'll be another option. And then the last one was, if none of those were a good option, I thought a digital art commission, because I did that before. I remember back in the day I did a video giveaway, and it was somebody had one for doing the contest. I can't remember what it was. And then I did one of Castlevania back in the day. So I could do that as well. I could draw you a one-off digital. I wouldn't share it anywhere else or whatever. That's up to you. But it would be your vision, whatever you want to draw. So anyways, there's some options. You guys tell me, because I really want your feedback. Like, what do you think are the better of those options? So the more of that feedback I can get, the better. And now let me start drawing while I'm sitting here yapping about this. I was just trying to read from my list of things that I had written down, because, yeah, I need that little extra helping hand of a little list off to the side there. So the other thing that the way that you would enter this kind of giveaway, basically is I just figured so there was a little bit of accountability because I wouldn't, just try to like grab everybody's name and start entering it. But if you basically share one video in any way you want, any social media, Facebook's, Instagram, whatever you want to do, you share one video and link me to it, or better yet, just so there's some real ability for me to track this, you send me a screenshot of it to my email through ramstudiocomics.com. So let me say that one more time. Basically, you share any one of the videos from the channel that you choose. Send me that screen grab through my website as an attached image, obviously with your information, and then I will enter you into the contest. And then in a couple weeks, we'll draw the winner. I might even do a first, second, third, but definitely the one, and try to pack it full of goodies or whatever, however you want to say it. But yeah, anyways, that's the deal. So let me know what you guys think. Now, this isn't set in stone. As I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to get your guys' feedback. So let me know what you think is good. If you got a better idea, I'm all ears. I really want to make this beneficial for you guys because it is a thank you video to say thanks for supporting the channel and bringing it to what it's gotten to. Because this did just start as me drawing stuff and randomly posting videos just because I thought it was fun that you could do that. I had not once went into this going, yeah, I want to try to be a YouTuber and make videos and somehow derive an income and a living off it. When I started this, I had a sign shop. I was a guy making signs and stickers for my local community. So it definitely turned into a lot more than I had expected. And also, if you guys got any questions about, like even how to do some art business stuff, like I've been thinking more and more about that. Like, I feel like there's so many people that kind of struggle to figure out how to monetize and make a living out of their art. And I've been I've been an entrepreneur or whatever. I haven't worked for anybody since I was 25. And I'm a glorious 46 now. So I've been self-employed longer than I've ever worked for anybody by a lot, which is pretty crazy. Like, I had random jobs from 15, 16 to about 24. So yeah, I've been self-employed a lot longer, and a majority, all of it's really been art related. From when I did my sign shop, it was a lot more graphic and making products and things like that. But even when I jumped from that to this, I never looked back. I never had to pick up a part-time job or job. I've always been able to figure out how to make things work with, putting out the work. So yeah, if you guys have any questions on that, I don't, how many of you do this stuff for a living? How many of you are hobbyists? And, do you want to do it for a living, or do you just like it as a hobby? Which that's cool too, because honestly, there's a lot to be said for keeping that love and that separation and just being happy with what you do. Because when you do turn it to work, there are some little, there's some compromises in there, when you do turn it into an actual job. Let me read these comments real quick. I know I'm just kind of rambling here. Oh, Jocko, yeah, glad you like the perspective stuff. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've been meaning to do more lessons on perspective. It's something that I constantly battle with, and lately I've been trying to make sure like I'm always putting some perspective. Like even this is just this little simple kind of side of a I don't know if you call this a bell tower, but that's what I was imagining. Like this is going to be a big bell right there, and I can do a lot of little texture on that. But just a quick little 1 point perspective there, and then the background will just be off in the distance, and that's real easy. But I've been trying to make myself do that because it's real easy for me to just want to draw characters and get away from it. But yeah, more perspective lessons are on the way soon. And then Icon, from a scale of 1 to 10, how much money do you make from art? I make my entire living off being an artist, but I did it in a way where I make products that are they're a bit derivative. I don't know if you say derivative. So they're a bit, like obviously I have brush packs and art courses. The majority of it's art courses really. But then the other stuff has helped out tremendously as well. And that's custom brushes and pose packs and patterns and all sorts of things. YouTube, it all adds into it. But if you ask me what I did for a living, I sit around and I draw. I turned it into other ways to make money. And lately I get a lot more options for sponsorships. I haven't even taken advantage of that, and I don't know that I'm still up in the air if I want to. But since the channel's grown and since more people have been following the work, that has gotten bigger and bigger. So, like I said, I haven't even tapped into sponsorships hardly. But I essentially just draw, and it's just the way that I do it. I don't sell the art a lot. Like, I don't really take commissions. When I go to comic shows, I sell some, and that's about it. But I haven't been doing the shows because of COVID and all that. Things are getting back to normal, which is thank God. But I basically don't really sell a lot of my art. I just sell like a byproduct of the art, which would be videos and other content. So, but I really think that's, I don't know, to me that's almost more impactful. Like, you have a better reach with that. When you do one-off art, you got to get a lot of money to make that worth it. You really do. Like, unless you're drawing for the real big companies and you're selling that art for a lot of money, and then you're hot or you're not. Like, I've heard plenty of stories where these artists are, they're on the top of their game. They're selling big cover pieces and their page work for a lot, and all of a sudden they fizzle out. They're not as popular, and they sit on a lot of their originals. Like the originals that generally sell really well, besides commissions, obviously. You're always going to do good with commissions, or you should. But then the originals that sell quick are going to be your covers, and then it's going to be the better books, the cooler splash pages, and then it kind of fades out from there. Yeah, thanks, Alpha, I appreciate the congrats, man. Super, super happy to see that, and thanks, One Be Gone. And thanks, Charles Petrie. Yeah, I'm pretty happy it got to that level. I'm pretty excited that it got that far, and I would say let's get the next one even faster, but that's, it's enough. I mean, it doesn't need to even go any bigger. I want to make sure, like, a certain part of me doesn't want it to get too big, because I look at those channels with millions. It's like, how do they even help anybody at that point? How do you even get down and and be specific to any of the followers without like a bunch of assistants and all that? And I don't want to do all that. Like, I've seen people that do that, and it just seems like too much. So Batman Crush says, "Hey Rob, love your work. Appreciate that like crazy. But as aspiring artists, comic artists, I really can't seem to figure out the figure, regardless of studying daily. I wonder if you might have any ideas for me." Yeah, I mean, it's really, I have rough days all the time for trying to develop figures, but I do a lot of variation. So for instance, if you look at this piece right here, I'm working on another one too, and I basically did these two variations, and I also did them in very different ways, not just the way they're drawn pose-wise, but then I even took a different approach. Like, so for instance, this one was drawn all on the iPad Pro from start to finish. I'm actually recording this for you guys in another video, just so you know, as long as nothing goes wrong, basically. But then this other one, I wasn't feeling like that one was exciting enough. Seemed too stiff, too boring. So I went with this one, but I actually started this one on my Intuos 4 tablet. Okay, so that's the tabletop tablet. It's a little bit harder to use, honestly, for me, and for a lot of people, I suppose. But what I notice about it is I generally get a little bit looser feel to the pose, almost because I can't tense up on it, because it's a little more. I'm kind of throwing lines around more on that because I have a little less control, right? So I think it helps me in a sense to loosen up on that control factor that I have. Sometimes your control is hurting you, right? And trying to get in there too much and tightening up and really focusing on a part that, I don't know, you might need to step back a bit. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't know what you're facing without looking at your work and really delving into it, but sometimes it's a matter of loosening up, trying a different method, simplify. Like, you have to really like try to look at the broad strokes. So you might be focusing, maybe you're looking at it like this, right? And you're trying to get all these little details in there and you're not ready for that. So you might need to pull back a lot like this. Like drawing small helps out with this on, do your little thumbnail sketches on paper. But basically you have to like sometimes just change the way you're doing things. You're probably stuck in a rut. Like if you go to do, let me see if I can do a little scribble here and show you. Comic practice would be a good one. All right. So, like a good thing is to stay back first. So right now on my screen, this is the size of an envelope. Okay, that little white area is about the size of an envelope. That's usually the best way to start. Like pull way back, and a lot of times too lately I've been starting with an ink pen just because the line is more immediate and solid. And then so I might go, what kind of, first I usually get the ones out of the way that are typical. I might go, I'm just got a guy stand there on an angle, torso, pelvis. These can all be little boxes, right? Just standing there. Right, real simple. And what I like to do is get some of these like really typical poses out of the way for my warm-ups, because it's almost like my brain goes to that first almost every time, which is ridiculous. It's frustrating, but I try to like get them out of the way and then say, okay, let me express something a little bit better. There's just somebody just sitting there now. So same thing, a little bit of an angle, focus on the tilt of the pelvis as we sit in a chair. And you start with these really basic stick person warm-ups just to kind of get everything going. Try to simplify as much as possible. Use some little hand gestures in there. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be right. I probably could have started with a chair here, whatever. But so you get a few of these out of the way, and they're boring and they're silly. They don't seem to like impress anybody, but it's so important that you do that so that when you go to do something more dynamic, you got something to hinge upon. Another technique is this. So say I want to draw a dynamic shot, right? So I'm like, I want this arm coming towards the camera and I want the hand real big and doing something like this. I don't know. So there's a big hand coming towards the camera, right? It's real easy to get confused by something like this. Even for me, I've been drawing a long time. I still get confused with shots like this. I usually have to draw them a couple times. So more importantly, that too, I have to avoid getting frustrated as I'm drawing it, because then it'll just take me out of wanting to do this pose, and I'll compromise and go to something easier. And that's a kind of a bad habit. It's something you have to do as a newer artist when you're not getting it. But you start to get to a point when you're like, well, these are just pieces overlapped. It's not an arm, it's not a leg, just a bunch of shapes overlapped, and I can make some sense of it. And as I refine it, I can make it make more sense. Okay, so you get it down in broad strokes like that. And another technique for this, if you struggle to even do something simple like that, or a simple version of that, is you draw it from the side too. So you go, well, what if that person was leaned to the side doing a relatively same action, or the same action, but so let's say what is that, his left arm, which would be away from us here. This would be his right arm. So his right arm's tucked back. So I got to get the torso tilted, bring that arm back and away. And see, I'm going to struggle with this because I need to practice it more. Arm kind of comes down. It's going out towards the camera, but then the camera's over here now, right? There's our camera. Pretty fancy, right? I don't even know if that's what a camera looks like. Something like that. And so the hand's going towards the camera. The body's leaned forward. The pelvis, there's always a tilt from the pelvis, so we got to get some of that in there, but it's not going to be as dramatic. It's the opposite leg. Well, it's not really going to be that noticeable because it's a profile. And that one leg's way back. You see, this is pretty messy, but another hand's just a fist. Maybe bring this head down further. And so what I mean by doing this is that basically you get used to like looking at it from a different, hopefully you can draw profiles a bit easier. I know I can. It didn't really show here, but generally I can. And so what I'll do sometimes, I'll do this a lot with like weaponry and different things that I'm not as confident drawing. I'll draw the profile first, and then I'll use that to get over to here. Um, because what generally happens is, since I can draw that profile better, it's almost like it gives me a little bit of confidence, and then I can work out the areas. It just becomes a reference point for me, basically. So hopefully that makes sense. But there's a lot more that goes into it. The main thing I can tell you is just like lots and lots of rough sketches and bad drawings. Your bad drawings will get you to your good drawings. You gotta be okay with those. They're part of the game, you know. All right, just trying to read through these comments real quick. Yeah, also, please let me know what you guys thought about the giveaways. I really need some ideas for that, like what you think are the better options for the giveaway. And remember, too, to enter that giveaway, you just share a video, screen grab it, send me that screen grab through my ramstudiocomics.com. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, the giveaway. Um, Okay, and then Atomic Art, Robert, I've been looking at your recent studies on Instagram. How would you study something? Example, lighting. Um, lighting, I tend to like I always say try to study from life, but it's really hard. Like for me, lighting, I would study life, but I wouldn't study like, you know, regular life as much. I would study from movies, which I consider life, but obviously a very stylistic or you know um, cinematic version of life. So I would take shots of movies, and then and I used to do this quite often. I need to get back on it. In fact, I was just watching some Netflix, some big Netflix junkie, and I was like, man, I got to get back to where I was pausing these and drawing them, and even more so, pause a shot that you really like, bring it into an image editor like Photoshop, play with the contrast, do some tracing. I'm usually don't tell people to trace a whole lot because I feel like it can be an Achilles heel. You don't want to trace too much, but at the same time, if you see like a really good shot and it's like something on Netflix or something, and you get these characters and there's like this good perspective going on, and you've got a really great composition, whatever it is. I mean, you can grab that really fast. I probably shouldn't be doing a bad doodle here. I'm just trying to explain it as I draw. So you grab like this shot, and you're going to kind of pick up on things you didn't notice. Like, wow, I just realized there's a lot more cars in the scene than I would ever draw. So like for instance, you got these cars. These don't look like cars. I get it, but you realize that there's a lot more of those little details. There's signs back here. There's street lights. On and on it goes. And it seems all complex, but then you realize now it's not that bad because the stuff up close takes up all the space and the detail. Then you have two cars maybe that you see the full front end, and then they start to cover each other. And that's where the kind of the neat thing comes in about compositions. And then you realize, man, it looks really cool when you got another person up close and you just kind of see the back of their ear or something and their shoulder, and they're kind of silhouetted out a little more. You get a lot of that from paying attention to really well-designed shots. Now, I'm not calling this a well-designed shot. I'm trying to make the point that if you're trying to study something like lighting, composition, scene layout and camera positions, camera angles, man, you really can't do better than pulling from the sweet-ass movies that people have put millions and millions of dollars into to make it right. You just have to take it and only grab what you need. That's kind of the tricky part, because you're going to get bogged down by all the stuff that's in that shot. You got to filter it, and the filter is your style and what you choose to put into your work. But same thing can be said for comics, right? You just pull from comics and you look at the way certain people do that. So you can have an artist that you admire that does lighting really well. Then you use their ability to light a character. You do breakdowns of that. Same thing. I just find it more readily available to, and it's probably because I did storyboards, that to me it's easier to like reference movies and then pull from that, which I find myself lacking. I need to do more of. But that's what I would do. And as far as lighting, I mean, you can do little examples of lighting where, you just take basic objects, because everything breaks down into a basic object, right? So you got a cylinder. Just using the quick tool here in Procreate for that. And then you practice breaking these down. So for lighting, a lot of times I'll paint something in first. What we got here? Paint. Where's my other paintbrush? Got too many brushes here. Okay, round brush. A lot of times I'll do it like this. So if I want a 2-point light on this sphere, I'll kind of go like this. And I know this isn't comic art, but it always helps me. I do this in a lot of my comic art when I get ready to light something. So I'll do something like this. The shadow is always a bit darker right by the hotter light source. But again, you just kind of pay attention to life and see how this works for what you're looking at. Obviously, things that are spherical light a little differently. Things that are really shiny, like a pool ball, it's going to have more of a hot spot. So you get something like that, and then I would render over top of that. So a lot of times I like to take and make it a bit of a blue first. You guys have probably seen this in plenty of videos. And then I will ink over top of that. So for me, it's like I'll take this, ink the perimeter shape. I have to figure out if I want a light source on the very edge, but a lot of times I'll take it like this. And something like this. Fill that in. And then I just practice different rendering styles over top. I'm going to just use a custom brush I got just because it'll be faster to explain, because it's really the same concept. But I'll pick a custom brush in this instance. Usually I hand render, for most of the time. And then I just practice rendering in different ways. Or I get a little bit of cross hatching. Actually, let me try a different brush with this one. Which one? Tilt the other way. And I just do different variations of cross hatching. But like I said, a lot of times I'll do that by hand. Just depends on how I'm feeling and how detailed I want the art to be. So you see, just like that, and do some little bit of rendering. And I do lots of variations. There's times I want to see something rendered. Let me go back. There's times that I want to see something rendered that's specular, more like this, with these tighter little points. Then obviously I erase back the parts that went over. And there's times that I want rendering that extends way into the form. Basically, the way I look at that is that it boils down to, how specular the surface is. So sometimes I want rendering that's like this, and I practice drawing those way out and, more of a gradient fade through here. So it just depends on the material of the surface, but I like to practice on these types of objects and say, same thing. You draw like a cube. You practice casting a shadow, which in this case you would do like a light source that comes up from the ground plane. You would draw perspective lines from that, and that will give you a reference point to where your drop shadow should be. That coupled with perspective down at the horizon. So it's those two things. You pinpoint your light source, your horizon line, and you fade out from there. Oh, actually, this would be all solid anyways, but so you fill that all in. And then you obviously would shade this side with some kind of tone. And you might practice rendering, you might practice texture. So, hopefully that gives you an idea of the different ways you look at it. And you do that to each object. And you say, okay, this is a 2-point light source. This is a single point when you get rid of the secondary kind of rim lighting. And the rim lighting always looks better once you have things that it's reacting to. So if you add a shadow over here, that's obviously going to make it look a little better. Oh, did I not fill that in? Nope, they weren't merged together. So like if you do something like that, and you could do like some negative liner in the shadow, you'll see that a lot for comics, and on and on. You just practice these variety of light sources on these basic shapes, and then you apply the basic shapes to the more advanced way of thinking for scene creation. It's really what it is, but it's easier said than done, right? You just have to practice it. All right, let me read through these again real quick. Let me go back to the spawn art. But if you guys got more questions, I'll keep jumping back and forth to that and drawing whatever you need. Johnny Fitz, thank you very much. Appreciate that. One Beyond, yeah, glad I could help. Always happy to share as much as I can about posing. Poses are some of my favorite thing to do. I do it every day, every morning. It really is amount of repetition that you can stay at that art table or digital device or whatever. It really is what it boils down to. Like a lot of times when people say I've struggled with this, I can't get past it. My first question generally is how long are you doing it? How much are you doing it daily? That is like the big, the divider from do you make it or not. I get it. Some people may feel like they just can't get it, and other people are more naturally gifted at that. I get that idea. I have a hard time believing in that. I know it's out there. It wasn't me. Like I struggle to get to where I'm at right here. But the reason why I like to show you guys even like these bad drawings over here as I'm explaining this stuff is the fundamental concepts are really, it can be implemented in the worst sketch imaginable. It's not about that. It's really understanding that, and then when you come here, you can try to fine tune it in and make it your best or whatever. But you got to be careful of that too. Like sometimes we just beat ourselves up when we're trying to make things too perfect, and it just drains the process. You got to like creativity is not based on perfection, and it's definitely not based on comparison and competition with other artists. Like that's a big one. You have to really let go of all that and say, man, I just want to make something that makes me feel good. Like I'm going to make something that makes me excited to keep doing what I'm doing. That's the right track, So you might be comparing yourself or holding yourself accountable to a level that you're not ready to, and yeah, you want to let go of that because that can be negative. All right, let me read a couple of these real quick. Yeah, so graphics squid, I totally get that. Saying he's let his art slip for the past month, started a new job, finding the time is hard. Yeah, I mean, prioritization is tough. Like, you say, well, I want to be an artist. I want to be the best artist I can be. That's my priority. But you got to make a living. That's just the way it is. So I totally get that. What I would say is, hopefully, I don't know what's in the cards for you and where you're at, but if you could, maybe turn it into a little bit of a side hustle, hopefully, something like that, where then it starts to, you can start moving it up more forward on the front burner of your life instead of the back burner, because you can justify the income that you obviously are saying in your post that you need. So that's where your priorities have to lie. I get that. Like I had to be a working professional at a young age. I didn't have really the luxury of waiting around for, the hope of getting paid. Like it's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, I wasn't inducted into comics. I did comics. I did the Arrow and Assault books for Time Press. They got picked up by Diamond. You guys mostly probably already know the story. But they didn't make big bucks, and I had to go get a job, and that's what led me into sign design and graphics. Now, I did my very best to make sure that my job was still art related, so that regardless, I would be honing my skill set. And if people were coming in and asking me to draw stuff, I was like, well, that's a pretty close second. I'll take that. So you could look for opportunities like that as well. It could start in the way of doing graphic design, because a lot of people say, well, that's not drawing, but design is still very much in tune with being an artist and being creative. Composition is design. Look at Todd McFarlane's work. That dude is a master of design. That's why, if you notice, he can do certain things very simplistic, and it's beautiful because he's a master of design. But at any rate, you could try to make, I don't want to call that a compromise, but you could try to tie those in together. I would say be careful of that, because for me, I got a little bit too into the sign stuff, and I spent years doing it, doing my own business, all that. It was great financially. It was worked out really well there, but it pulled me away from drawing as much. So you do have to be careful, because that can happen as well. Now I want to make sure that the majority of what I do daily is drawing, and hopefully I'll still get opportunities to draw for titles that I want to at some point. But it doesn't matter. The main thing is I'm drawing for a living. I was able to figure out a way to turn it into an income and a lifestyle. So there's lots of options out there. Probably the worst thing you can do is think that you're stuck and that you only have that one option. That's a way of thinking. So you have to get rid of that. Think fluidly. Think that there's so many options out there that you just have to either find a way or make a way. You could be the one to invent a way if you're not too hard on yourself, and you really keep your eyes open. Like I look at it like this, and actually I think I heard this somewhere, but instead of thinking that you're compromising when you go out to do something, so for instance, you're out there and you're doing your thing, whatever it is, you're trying to draw for a living, but you're stuck working a job and you got very little time to practice and get better, right? So you figure out a way to do it where you at least got a couple hours, and then you figure out a way to make a couple bucks, so maybe you can pull back from another job, or you get a job where there's some kind of art and design related. Again, there's lots of options. There's Fiverr out there, there's Etsy stores, there's Gumroad, on and on the list goes, right? So you figure out a way to scratch together a couple bucks. But then what you do is, as you're out there doing your thing, you keep your eyes open for other opportunities. So it's not that you compromise when you see these other opportunities, but you're more aware that something else could present itself and then help you to that next level. That's what people don't realize. Like, they're so hyper focused on that one thing, it's make or break. And that's where I see a lot of people get crushed. I've heard or read or whatever. It's because the opportunities were probably presenting themselves as open doors, but they weren't that one thing that they were thinking about. Like, for me, it'd be like drawing Spidey or Spawn, but really I'm more of a Spidey fan than a Spawn fan, to be honest. But I love Spawn too. But I would love to draw Spider-Man. But I'm not going to let that break me if that never happens. I have to still figure out a way to do my day-to-day, make a living, keep drawing. Luckily, it came in the way of YouTube. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, I started sharing YouTube videos not because I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to make these YouTube videos, I'm going to go viral, and I'm going to draw comics from a home studio. None of that was on my forefront of my vision, or, it happened slowly and transitionally, and then I kept my peripheral vision open, and then I segued to it. And pretty soon the channel grew. People started contacting me and saying, hey, would you like to teach online? Would you like to make some other content for us? And I was like, really? Yeah, of course I would. That'd be cool. It's all art. Yeah, I'm down. So just keep in mind that you might need to just look at the landscape a little bit better. And remember, there's so much stuff out there. I mean, I couldn't even name all things. I don't know them all. But all I know is, for the research I've done, there's a bunch of great opportunities out there for artists to monetize and do what they're doing, and do really well with less, like, I would never go back to a regular job at this point. And I don't know if that sounds rude or jerkish, but I'm honest. Like, I just want to be completely honest here. Like, they would have to pay me a lot, because now that I've been able to earn as making content and art online, I just wouldn't work for anybody. Now, I'm not discounting anybody that needs to work. If you need to do that, definitely that's what you do. That's honorable. That's hard work. That's an amazing person that says, you know what, I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna put the time in, I'm gonna work. Nothing wrong with that. I did that for many years. But once you get a taste of working where your work doesn't just pay you once, it can pay you multiple times. Like, for instance, authors and big name comic artists, I'm sure they get residuals and commissions and kickbacks from different things. it's got to be pretty hard to work for just an hourly rate at that point, because you get a taste of what's out there. And these big corporations, I mean, that's how they function. They don't, they don't make money off just one thing one time. Uh, everything they touch is mass produced and commissioned and overly marketed. So at any rate, it's not bad to do that, but you got to realize, as a creative professional, you can actually do a lot of pretty neat things and get a little piece of that kind of action if you're smart about it. And you guys can tell me to shut up too if like that stuff bores you. I get a little too hyped about it. I'm really against the whole starving artist thing, and watching people that are uber talented struggle just bugs me. It just doesn't. My brain doesn't see it properly. Like, it's like, I always, even as a kid, I was always like, well, artists make more than doctors, right? I mean, that's a silly comparison, but I just always thought there's so much potential there for art and what it does. And as I grew up, people were like, no, artists are typically broke, and that's why they say starving artists. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. What if I just draw a cool picture and trade it for a pizza? Why would I starve? Yeah, thanks, Art with the MRB. Yeah, residual income and licensing is where it's at if you can find your niche and vehicles. Definitely. It's all like putting the right pieces into play, and it's not going to work out for everybody. It's definitely probably not going to work out for everybody the first 10 tries. Uh, but I think that if you're like really diligent and like you don't give up easy, and you calculate, okay, so like you do something, you're all excited about it, like, oh yeah, this is going to be huge, and then you put it out there and then it falls flat on its face, right? Most people give up right there, or like say a percentage of people give up right there. And then another set of people would say, well, I just learned what not to do. That's valuable information. And they go back to the drawing board. They do it again and again and again. And they don't get disenchanted. They keep looking at each time they fail as another means to getting closer to the success. That's the way you got to think about it. Put it this way: if you worked for a corporation and you were like sitting there as an employee making good money, right? And they kept paying you to revisit this design that they had to market for a toy line or whatever it is, and you kept having to revisit it. And you're like, wow, I don't get it, man. These people just can't land on this idea. They've paid me a ridiculous amount of money to sit here and redraw these concepts. They're so silly. No, they're doing what it takes to get to that finely tuned, marketable, whatever. But since you're on the other end of just getting paid to do your job, you don't see it maybe as clearly, or some people would. They know the game, but that corporation does know the power of that. They'll dump a bunch of money into that before they call it a failure, and some that will fail, but then they'll do 10 more that one of those are going to succeed, and that's just the name of the game. It's just part of it. But now with like this stuff out there, you can like be the one to making those products. Clip art's another example, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of it's going to fail. That's just the way it is. But then you're going to latch onto a few successes, and they're going to pay for the failures. Nice one. One mighty R. Artists make good money. You just got to go guerrilla mode. I like it. Yeah, you just got to be aggressive and hungry, and that's where I always tell people, like, following the passion is so darn important, because if you don't, then the hunger it's gonna be hard to stay hungry. But if you follow what excites you and gets you out of bed in the morning, then you don't run out of that excitement, and you can chalk up those failures a little easier and be like, well, I love what I do. Like that old saying, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's a big part of it. But it also fuels you to keep going when things aren't going your way. Because you're going to have those bad days, bad months, bad years even. I mean, it's life. But if you keep grinding, you will find your success. I mean, I'm a prime example, because I don't know that I could work on a monthly title. I mean, I'm never going to say no to it. And I have done books before, but they weren't like on a monthly title. I'm just not as fast as I need to be for that probably. I would really have to simplify the way that I draw a lot more, which isn't off the table. I would definitely do that. But again, I also didn't wait around for that paycheck from a company to say, here, you're on a monthly title. And I don't know, I've met plenty of people that did do it, and they still had a hard time keeping up. It's a really, you got to get really good, and you got to be fast. You really have to polish your skills. So you got to be ready for all that. I mean, I'm a fan of anybody that can draw on a monthly title and knock it out. I'm super impressed with that. I would love to do that, but I got to get faster. Yeah, and then Charles Petrie just said that monthly artists on comics is a grind. I totally believe it. I mean, I look at like David Finch's speed. You know, when he's drawing his stuff for his videos, and it's insane how fast that guy can draw on ink and put it all together. I mean, you're talking, one of the biggest names in comics at this point. But at the same time, it's same. I noticed it with Todd McFarlane. He would like throw things together, and he's just kind of jibber jawing about it, and he's like making it seem like it's no big deal. And all of a sudden, you're watching it come together, and it's like it's amazing. And he's like, you can tell he's just not trying. He's literally got it that down from the repetition he's done from all those books and pages. That the dude's just a machine, and it's that easy for him. Jim Lee, his speed is insane, just nuts. Hi, Andrea Bignami. Bignami, hopefully I'm saying that right. Ghettobot, what's up, Luke? Good to have you. My boy Ghettobot. Luke just got married, everybody. Tell him congrats. Can't believe you did it, dude. I'm super proud of you, bro. Yeah. Gustavo, good to have you. Owen Tomic says, have you ever studied from Greg Capullo? Yeah, more now than ever. I was just looking at some of his work last night, the day before. Capullo's amazing. I wasn't a big fan of him back in the day, but he got so good. Like his stuff these days is just stunning. I mean, I love the cartoony aspect of the facial expressions. And somebody, I think it was Finch that was telling me that he throws in his backgrounds like freehand or something like that. Him and Todd, but it's and I don't know if you picked that up from him. And they look awesome. His backgrounds look amazing, and yeah. So no, I'm a huge Capullo fan now. But I'll tell you, to be honest, like back in the day, I wasn't as big of a fan. But he came a long, long way, and I'm talking way back. I'm talking probably 15, 20 years ago when I saw his work. I think when he was first working for Image or something. Oh yeah, I get you, Luke. It's a big step for anybody, bro. That's what I'm saying. I'm super proud of you. That is a big step. There's some congrats for you. Nice. Graphics good. What did you put off learning, like hands or perspective? I'm dreading perspective. Yeah, perspective is like eating your vegetables. It's like it's not as much fun for me. I don't mind the texturing part, like the part I'm doing now, where you're just drawing these little scribbles and imperfections. That part's fun, kind of relaxing. I can't tell you. Well, no, I can't tell you. Hold on. I'm going to show you how bad I am at perspective at times. How it doesn't just click in my brain like it should. I'll do the little replay here. So this pose started off as I drew it on the Intuos tablet. So this is a bit of the replay. I'll scrub through this real quick. Okay, so I start with trying to draw in some perspective. And I mean, I bounce around from idea to idea. I'll probably end up sharing this video as well. So I'm just showing you this to say, like, I really struggle with perspective. It's not like a light bulb moment for me. Hands, not as bad. I mean, I struggle with hands as well, but I would say perspective is harder for me than hands. But the main thing is, kind of like I mentioned with poses, is you got to just simplify it and then make sure you do it. Like over time, you're just going to get better. Um, like with, again, McFarlane's another example. I was just looking at some of his books that I've got, and there's a lot of background stuff that he does where it's kind of just thrown in there. It's just he stacks stuff really well. Like he, again, I think I mentioned he's a great, what I consider a great graphic designer. Like he has a good eye for design, so he'll like use background elements like props, and he stacks them really well and covers up things, and then he makes the character the forefront, obviously. Um, but I think what I got to quit doing, and maybe this is negatively impacting you as well. I got to quit drawing the backgrounds in as an afterthought. It really, for me, it's harder. So I don't know if it's like that for you. I got to start with the backgrounds, place everything compositionally well, character and all that, and then it goes better. It's when I draw the character all out and I get this character pose in mind, I'm starting to render, and also I'm like, yeah, I'm putting a background. Well, that's obviously I'm going to run into problems there. It's too much of an afterthought, and you're trying to like force a round peg into a square hole or something. All right, just reading through these again real quick, trying to keep up here. Sorry, I'm a slow reader, folks. I think Igor says, I think even the best artist struggles to do some perspective. It's a thing that goes with you for your whole life as an artist. Yeah, and I've got a course on perspective, and I hate to say that right after saying, yeah, I struggle with perspective, but I broke it down into 1 and 3 point perspective, and there is a lot that you can just go to the fundamentals and be fine with. I think that the tricky part is that when you're telling a story, there's so much that you're trying to envision for these shots, and without a clear path or a script or whatever, you can get really lost in your imagination. That's why reference is so powerful, and it's really putting everything into the right steps that makes it a lot easier. So, like for instance, when I was drawing those illustrations for the perspective course, it wasn't hard because I wasn't even thinking about the background. In fact, or the characters, I mean. And I've done this before. When I just go to draw a background with no character, way easier. So I really need to like put down a script in front of myself, not just draw on a blank white canvas. Really important because and so for instance, if you have the script and say it's a Batman script, and it's like, Batman's flying from building to building, kicks through a window, lands into a, kitchen table, whatever. So you basically, you're like, oh, all right, I got to pull some Victorian Gothic architecture, I guess Gothic, and then you pull all that, you get all these shots laid out in front of you on a mood board. Then you start scribbling, and you start with those rough sketches first because same thing. If you jump in trying to do refined artwork, it's usually harder. You're usually going to really scrimp on ideas, but with rough sketches, you can really kind of get in these little cool details real fast. And then you blow that up and you refine it. It's always better when you do that, in my opinion. And again, that's where I like looking at these different comic artists like Capullo, where they do that really well. You can tell. Like I look at Capullo's thumbnail sketches or rough sketches. They'll share them every now and then. His rough sketches are awesome. Great reference. I just bought a book from Jim Lee too. It's his art book, DC Comics art book, volume 1. Any of you guys got that? I almost want to do a review video on that sucker. That is a really great reference to have, or resource to have. But he shares a lot of his rough sketches in there. His thumbnails to his pages, which that's the stuff I like seeing the most, honestly. I think often I just go into trying to draw things too clean, and that's one of the things that kills it for me anyways. Yeah, thanks, Saman Kucher. Really appreciate that. Whoa, Bickner Art, the Gumroad course you bought doesn't have any files or videos anymore. Which one was that? Yeah, shoot me an email on that. Go to my ramstudiocomics.com, or if you're on my Gumroad, you just respond to me. I haven't checked my email, so if you did, forgive me. I'll check that and get that resolved. That might be I would assume that's a Gumroad issue because um, I can't imagine they would just delete my files and then I would be getting a bunch of people mentioning that. Body in motion. Okay. No, that's the new one. Forgive me for that. I'll get on that right away. Sorry about the inconvenience for that. I'll try to get it resolved today for you. See everybody, digital files are still it's still real work. Still have customer service. I'm super sorry about that, Bickner. That shouldn't happen. But I will get it resolved. Oh, and Anthony Gee, yeah, you've got that book. Reference it a lot. Yeah, me too, man. As soon as I got that sucker, I think I got out of Barnes and Noble or something, but I was flipping through it, I'm like, oh, I got to get this one. And I started going through it, and I'm just like looking at it, like all the shots, all the different poses, all the resource material. It's not a Jim Lee art book. It's a how to draw book for me. You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at that stuff. It doesn't have hardly any wording to it. It's all just big, beautiful pictures. But there's so much of that, and it's so big. It's to me, it's just a big art book. You know, I'm gonna learn from that thing as much as I probably did, the Bern Hogarth books or something. I'm just gonna try to draw as many of those pictures as I can. So sorry, Jim Lee. I'm gonna steal a bunch of your poses. I'm really sorry if you're listening. I know you're not listening, but everybody does it, right? It's not wrong, is it? I'll redraw it to where it doesn't look like everybody will know it though. His work's so iconic. They're gonna be like, "It's a Jim Lee pose. You ripped that off of X-Men 3, page 4." Yeah, Icon. Maybe I should do a more specific video. So all it is really though, to enter the giveaway, you just grab any video from the channel, share it, do a screen grab, screen capture of that, and send that to me through email, and I'll enter you to win. You can even link me through whatever social media post with an @ symbol and my name on whatever one it is. I don't recommend just doing that. That just does let me, it's kind of a way to reconfirm that I'll find it. But at the same time, uh, yeah, just do a screen share, send that to me, and then I will enter your name in to win. Excuse me. Oh, thanks, Atomic Art. I just saw that. He goes, I use a lot of this book. It's called Drawing Action Heroes from Robert Marzullo. I did not pay him to plug that book, by the way. I just want to get that off the table there. Tomic did that all on his own. Thank you, Tomic. Yeah, you guys got to follow his work on Instagram. He's a young artist and he's kicking butt. Lots of great studies. Really putting in the work. That's what I like a lot about Tomic's work. Is you can tell he's not just hoping to get better, drawing here and there, occasional fan art. He's doing the studies, and by studies I mean like breaking down, whatever it is you're trying to get better at. Like he asked earlier in the stream about light and shadow, but it's like when he's studying arm anatomy, he's doing a bunch of different arm poses. I've seen him study Bridgman, David Finn. You know, that's what it takes. It takes a lot of, I think, anyways. I feel like you got to study as much as you produce the next piece of art. So now I'm sure there's people that, are on a deadline that feel differently because they got to get the art out to get paid. So they're probably not studying as much or something like that. But if you're looking to break in and, get noticed, you want to really study on the things that you suck at. I mean, just to be blunt about it, find out what sucks about your work and study it like a mad person. That will give you the best results, I think. Like people are always like, Rob, you can't draw hands. I'm like, thank you so much for making my day awesome. And now I got to go practice drawing hands and feet. You tell Rob Liefeld was one of my heroes? Is one of my heroes? No, I take that back. I don't want to say that. That dude is awesome. You guys know I'm a Liefeld fan. Oh, that's cool. Max Power saying he's doing some sculpting inspired by Dr. Garuda. Yeah, no, I love well, I do ZBrush modeling, but I love doing that. Somebody watched too. My buddy that's on the channel here, Chris Skelf, he does ZBrush modeling. It's funny because I think I got him into ZBrush modeling. He was doing lightwave modeling and sculpting in Maya, and I think, well, maybe Maya was after ZBrush for him. Anyways, I remember telling him about, try ZBrush, try ZBrush. No, I do this more traditional way that I'm used to. Well, now he's been ZBrush sculpting, and he's like, the dude is inventing people. Like, I mean, it looks sweet. You got to see it. So he's like literally designing people that are photorealistic, and then they're using those for different. This is what's so crazy about art and digital art in the new world or whatever current state. They will make people digitally, and they'll use those as models for photo shoots, because then they're not having to fly a model out somewhere, get them to pose in all these different ways, renegotiate contracts, get them back. Also, the 3D model's not aging, which is crazy when you think about it. They're gonna put actors and models out of work. But anyways, they're making people so hyper realistic, and he does some of this. But anyway, check out his channel if you're into that. It's amazing stuff to look at. Oh yeah, Atomic. Yeah, I love that quote by Bruce Lee. Be like water. Flow from one thing to the next. I know, man. Dude lived such an epic life, and that's such a short amount of time. Oh, you're going to the Kubert School of Art? Nice. Yeah, you're gonna really move forward fast from that school. They they've trained some amazing talent. I want to say Ryan Otley came out of there. I'm pretty sure he shared some of that stuff on his Instagram pages when he was at the school there. It was pretty cool to see. All right, I should be able to ink this part right here. Oh, already got a blue line. Just drag this baby up. Oh, I did want to ask too. Would any of you be interested in seeing a course on Procreate? Like, I was thinking, like, I wish I could do characters like fan art, but I don't think I can. I've seen people do it, but I don't think it's probably something I need to stay away from. But I was thinking of like maybe a course where I draw comic art, but with all in Procreate. I know a lot of you like traditional art, and I do as well. It's just for me, like portability and mobility and productivity, it seems to be better on the iPad for me. Um, but I am trying to do more traditional as well. Maybe I just do both, do traditional and digital. It doesn't necessarily have to be a one or the other type thing. But I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys would be into something like that. I just wanted to throw it out there. Or you guys can tell me to get lost and go get a real job. I don't care. Just however you feel. Be honest. That's the main thing. Thank you, Satish, for the nice comment. Super honored. Larry Lambert says yes. Was that to the question I just asked, or did you just want to say the word yes? You're watching the movie Yes Man right now. Love Procreate, dude. Yeah, me too. It's pretty effective. I want to see Spawn and Picasso style. Nice one from the Variety Channel. And then Larry, there's Larry again with another yes. Ah. The next question is going to be, may I have your wallet? Yes. No, I love that movie, Yes Man. It's like really, it's kind of, it just has a good point to it. Like, don't be a naysayer. Don't always say no. Like, you're never going to live life. It always, it's kind of funny. I think it's hilarious. Yes, to procreate. All right. Thank you, buddy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's really the main way that I work now. Don't get me wrong, I love traditional. In fact, I need to talking about working on the areas that we need to improve upon. Okay, finding our weakest link in our our chain and fixing it. For me, that's parts of my traditional. There's parts of my traditional work I absolutely love doing. Well, I love it all, but what I'm saying is like there's parts of it I get to and I start to really struggle because I've been conditioned for so long on digital where I can easily move things around. That's probably a good part of it. But it's not just that. It's almost like a certain um, ability to process all the information and get like all my more detailed work has been done digitally. Like I just did a Catwoman piece, if you guys saw it, and there was a lot of little details of the background. It took way too long. I almost need to take that, print that out on Blue Line. I've done this a couple times now. I'll print it out on Blue Line because I got an 11 by 17 printer, and then I'll take it over to my light table, or well, it's Blue Line. Sometimes I'll use a light table, but on that, I'll print it on Blue Line, take it over my table, and I'll start inking it. I really recommend that if you got the options. You can use your local printer for that as well. The beauty of that, what it does, is it kind of translates or helps you to take what you can do effectively, maybe digitally, and then transfer that traditionally, and then seeing what different choices you would make based on, your ink pens or your crow quill or your brushes, whatever you're using, because it is different. Like with this, I can zoom in like this, which can be a real Achilles heel. I don't want to do that. I have to force myself to stay back here a bit, or I'll make different decisions. Um, so yeah, at any rate, that's one of the neat things. So I've actually thought about taking some of these and literally just redoing them traditionally inked on a board so that I have the original for shows, and so it teaches me, maybe where I'm making mistakes, like stuff I'm overworking that doesn't need to be there for one. Oh, thanks, Max Power. Yeah, I like drawing Scarlet Witch. She's freaking awesome. I'm always inspired to draw her. All right. One Mighty R. What printer to use? I'm actually looking at it. Let me tell you, it's a Brother printer, and it's an MFC J6 535 DW. Let me know if you need me to repeat that. I'm sure there's a newer model. I've had this one for a couple years, but I'll tell you what, it's bulletproof. Like this thing has been awesome. It's really efficient on ink. 11 by 17 over an 11 by 17 scanner and 11 by 17 edge to edge printing. So yeah, it's freaking dope. I love this printer. I usually don't love inanimate objects much, but I'll be honest, I love this thing, and I don't care if that sounds creepy or not. How dare you judge me? Sorry, just trying to be funny here. I know. I stress the trying part of trying to be funny. Got it. I'm gonna Google it. Well, hold on. I need my commission. Can you use my Amazon link? I'm kidding. All right. Okay, what do we got here? Igor, I'm 18 now, and I'm slowly starting to introduce myself into art. But I think that I could have start drawing much sooner, like 4 or 5 years ago. Do you think starting sooner makes you better? Well, yeah. I mean, starting sooner, if you could go back in time, yeah, would have made you better. But that's not really the point. You gotta look at it like where you're at now and do what you can do. I do think that you can make up for some lost time um, by just insane work ethic. It's not unheard of. Um, there's a book I got. Where is that sucker? I think it's on Focus or something, Determination. But anyways, there's this book I got. It talks about this lady that wanted to be a lawyer her whole life. She couldn't go to school because she had started a family early, had to do the family thing, stay-at-home mom and all that. She had studied while she was raising her kids. She ended up going into law school after she sent her last kid off to school. And so the point of this is that she started late in life. She got her degree. She went on to become one of the youngest judges, and I want to say the youngest female judge ever, or right in the running of that. So it just shows you how hard work can change the scope of starting late, or not feeling like you got the right leg up in life. You just have to go for it. But now one of the things it mentioned is for her diligence, what she did, or her tenacity of what she did for her studies. She read a book every week on her schooling, and I said something silly like at the end of every month she would treat herself to a novel, which I thought was silly. Like that's somebody that has an innate or crazy, insane ability to read and consume knowledge, which I think we can all develop. I don't think anybody lacks that ability. Some people may have a more difficult time doing that. I definitely have a harder time absorbing information from reading like that. But I'll put in the time when I need it. When I find something that needs to really be consumed and learned, I'll read it over and over and over until I learn it. So again, I just think the hard work ethic is the part you have to focus on, not the fact that you started later and what if. You start doing that what if game, and you're gonna stall out. You're gonna freeze, and you can't do that. Like the best thing is, if you don't know what to do and you're stalling out, you're sitting around, is just move, just do something. That's so much better than just sitting around trying to think of all these reasons why you might not make it or something, because that's just going to freeze you in your tracks. That's basically fear. You're basically like sitting around dwelling on fear, and you can't do that. And I can sit there and say, man, I never made it into comics. Why am I doing this? No, I'm drawing it, and I'm pretending like I'm drawn for the Spawn comic right now. But for you guys, for the viewers, so it's all good. Like, would it be cooler if this was for a Spawn book? Well, yeah, of course. But that's not in the pages, or that's not in the works for me right now. So all I can do is make the best of it, and I'm gonna draw it just because I love doing it. And through that action, something good's gonna come of it. But nothing good is going to come of it if I just sit around dwelling on why I didn't, make it as an illustrator for Image Comics or whatever. There's so many things you can focus on. You don't want to get into that. Yeah, so you guys are talking about realism, I noticed too. I do that every now and then, but I'm not as good at it as a lot of people. I can pull it off somewhat decently when I really slow down. I have to really slow down and try to focus on it. But back to Chris that I was talking about with the 3D stuff. He's phenomenal at realism. That's definitely one of his strongest skill sets, I think. So if you're looking for somebody to show you realism. And he does have some good courses on Udemy and Skillshare. So if you're on Skillshare, look up Chris Skelf for realism. And I shouldn't even say, for me it's like slow down to pay attention to it, but man, he does it super fast. It's really kind of crazy. Like, I think some people just see that stuff better. Yeah, Tyler Kirkham. I don't know if I'm saying it Kirkham. He does have some nice work. I've been checking out his stuff too. Who are some of the artists that inspire you from L Money? Um, Todd McFarlane's always been a huge inspiration. Uh, Dale Kean, some of the best Hulk art and art in general. And a lot of times, I would say Dale Kean's work is really, I don't know, been a huge motivation for me. Like, I really like the way he's always done anatomy and made it look so correct, yet still wonderful stylizations. David Finch is fantastic. Jim Lee is fantastic. I got a bunch. I could just keep going. Ed Benez, love his work. I remember finding the books that he did on Red Lantern, and I was super inspired. I mean, I drew all kinds of shots out of those books. Um, so a lot of times it's just where I'm at a certain part of my, what I'm trying to do, and then I'll find a certain artist that things kind of click for a bit, something I got to learn from their style, and then I draw from it for a while. Who else? Because I feel like I'm forgetting a bunch that have been influential to my work over the years. As far as instructors, it's always say it's Bern Hogarth. I'm a big Bridgman fan now, but before that, back in the Hogarth days, I didn't even really pay attention to Bridgman. For inking, it'd be Scott Williams. His inks are insanely good, insanely clean, and he's a great artist. Obviously inking is an art, but I mean, like even his pencils are really nice. Danny Mickey, I believe, for inks. Yeah, this just goes on and on. So much great talent out there. And I'll tell you, I'm a big Otley fan. Patrick Brown. I'm fans of those guys. Yeah, Stegman. And actually, I got to meet Stegman one time at a show just for a bit. But yeah, all those styles are fantastic. What I really like about the reason I was mentioning Otley and Patrick Brown is they have a very light style. Well, Otley's gotten a lot more detailed, and he's definitely got some crazy detailed pieces, and so does Patrick Brown. But it's light on the rendering, okay, in a lot of ways, especially Patrick Brown's work, but no less impressive. In fact, there's certain aspects of it that are so super dynamic and fun to look at, and things that they do so well with composition and storytelling. It's just insane. So, anyways, those are ones that I've really learned to appreciate more as of late. Stegman has a heavy rendering style, which I love, but he's got a little bit more of a mix of, I don't know, what kind of looks like maybe some Greg Capullo influences. I don't know, but yeah, great work. Super cool stuff to look at. I liked Sam Keith back in the day. Yeah, I wonder, does he even still draw? Does anybody see his work? And like Stephen Platt, whatever happened to that guy? I heard he was still doing art, but I don't ever see any of his new work. I think his style changed, right? Isn't it something like that? But man, his stuff back in the 90s, man, it was so cool to look at. So over the top. Alfredo Alcala. Yeah, I've heard that name. I got to check that out. Or check his work out. I'm zooming in too much, especially for bricks. Okay, just trying to find some rhythm here for the way that I'm gonna scribble these in. You guys ever try that where you're trying to find just a pattern of the way that you would do something or a way that you would render a certain thing, and then once you find it, it's so much easier and you just kind of flow through it. That's what I'm doing right here. I think I made the lines a little too thin in between the bricks, but I'll just bump up the shadow higher on the bricks themselves. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. They're just bricks anyways, right? No one even looks. No one even pays attention to bricks. They could be crooked, broken, falling apart. Yeah, Atomic. Yeah, send me whatever you got. I'll take a look at it. Just keep in mind, sometimes it takes longer. It's really better if you guys can like send me the work through my email, ramstudiocomics.com, because I don't always check my message on Instagram. I get spammed a lot, so I try to. That's why if you guys message me and I don't see it, don't think I'm ignoring you. Chances are I got shoved in with spam or something like that, and some of these social medias are just crazy. You get a lot of weird things from people. Yeah, Art Adams is another good one. Thanks, Trooper Joe. Really appreciate that. And Jason Mitchell says, "Hey, big fan of your work. Really appreciate that, bud. Uh, you had a video with Spider-Man the other day showing perspective grids. Do you draw them in app or have a brush available?" No, I didn't think about that. I guess I could create a brush or a series of patterns for that. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Um, Maybe I'll do that as just a free download on my Gumroad. But I create them with this software. So as I set the grids, I draw them all out. I didn't draw it for this. I actually did this little piece on the right, all freehand, but it's simple. It's a 1 point perspective. But yeah, I didn't even draw a perspective grid, I don't think, which is weird because I normally do. Yeah, I didn't even turn it on. So, but it's a simple one, right? There's not much there. I can see if they're off, I guess, um, but generally I create all my perspective grids in here now. I used to do them all in Clip Studio Paint, and now Clip Studio Paint's better in the way that you can do multiple perspective grids, which is fantastic, but I find that it's just faster for me to do each individual one here, save it out as a layer, and then just move on to the next one. I tend to find that it's a bit better if I try to freehand as much of it as possible anyways, because if not, I'll stiffen up on the work too much regardless. So, but yeah, that's typically what I do. Draw the perspective grids and then just try to draw over top like I'm doing right now. Yeah, the stream will go live. It won't be private. Retro Bolt. Um, yeah, Eric, you're saying, could you make a course on designing brushes? Yeah, I could. I mean, I probably should. I mean, I've created a lot of brushes over the years. Um, it wouldn't be hard to do, that's for sure, because I've made them in every software: Photoshop, Procreate, Clip Studio. Um, Maybe I should. Maybe I'll just do a Skillshare class on that because I need some. I don't know if I'd make a full course on that one. I guess I could, but I'll definitely make something for Skillshare. Are you on Skillshare or do you buy actual courses? Yeah, thanks SCS Powerlifting. I appreciate that. Yeah, I need to update some more on those. The brushes are insanely helpful. And Clip Studio, I gotta admit, Clip Studio's brushes are sweet. Like I wish Procreate would hurry up. I'm sure they will with an update here in the future, but they need to make them where, like in Clip Studio, you can change the colors of the brushes. And I don't mean just one color. You can dual color the brushes, which is really effective for all sorts of things, especially in comics. Like you can make ink style brushes that are more effective, and you can draw over top of other pieces of your art all in one stroke, and it blocks it out with, say, white and black. So yeah, really super effective for those brushes. I don't know what it is. Clip Studio has the best overall brush engine by far. At least for custom brushes. I feel like drawing inside of this software feels a bit more organic and fluid, me personally, but that could just be the Apple Pencil and not necessarily the software. Because I do like drawing in the Clip Studio app, but the only thing I don't like about that is that there's so many tools that it eats up the size of the screen, and the screen already isn't very big. So, oh, thanks, Eric. You get them from each one. Okay, yeah, I'll make sure it's at least available on Skillshare and Gumroad. Yeah, depends on how big. Like as I make the course, if it's larger, it might end up on all of them, but I definitely will put it on Skillshare and Gumroad. Yeah, because that's another opportunity for artists to, again, drive some income. Brushes are very sellable. They're very. I mean, even if you're just trying to build an audience, brushes are fantastic. I have a Procreate brush set, a free brush set on my Gumroad, and man, that sucker has done really well. I made it free, and it still made good money from people tipping. So thank you to anybody out there that did that. It's awesome. But as far as like building an audience, I think it's been downloaded like 70,000 or 100,000. I lost track. I got to look, but a lot, like a lot. Um, so that's the other neat thing about brushes. They're also really great for, and I won't just say brushes, any kind of digital asset. If you want to build an audience, make it free, and don't make it free because you spent 5 minutes on it. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Like, if you're really trying to build an audience, make it good, make it effective, but then make it free because you want to help your community, and you're going to get an audience in exchange for that, which will help you promote other products and do other things in the future. So yeah, don't just. I'm not saying like take something that you put no effort into and make it free. That's not going to help anybody. I think that's where a lot of people mess up because they're like, well, it's free, so I don't want to put too much effort into it. That's not the point really. And then you'll get no results, and you'll be like, yeah, glad I didn't put any time into that. Like it'll be a self-fulfilling thing. But if you put hard work into it, people are generally so grateful that they will kick you back something or follow your work, and you know, just like YouTube, it's the same concept really. You put lots of cool free content on here, and people follow each other and learn from each other, and that's or just generally watch because they like watching or whatever. But and let me know if you guys want to see something else. I don't have to sit here and detail the bricks, but if you don't mind, that's what I'll do. And I know I've totally shifted the size of them as I got lower. Actually, should have got bigger, if anything. Yep, good one, Eric. Help the community, and the community will help you back. Or, and the community will help you. Sorry, I misread that. But yeah, same concept. Yeah, thanks, Mr. V. Appreciate that. Yeah, I like making the courses. That's actually my bread and butter these days. So when you guys buy that stuff, it helps support me and keep me doing this. Like I don't really make money on fan art, I guess at all, really, if you think about it. But it's weird. Like I do it because the fan art I do because I it helps me to gauge if I'm getting better at drawing the characters I want to draw. And like I've mentioned plenty of times before, I do at some point want to draw, hopefully, some storytelling of these iconic characters. Whether or not that happens, that's besides the point, but I'm still going to work hard at it anyways. But it does give me the ability to gauge if I'm getting better at drawing. You know, like I was just going through some of my old videos. My oldest video, or one of my oldest videos, the oldest is of me painting Spawn, but one is like of Spider-Man, and you guys are probably like, yeah, that's all you draw, dude. You keep going back and forth to the same character. But like like it's I see a lot of transition from that work. That was 10 years ago, and that's just kind of cool. Like it's kind of exciting. You know, that's one of the things that I really chase is trying to see my work evolve. But also too, I want to be able to show people that look, you can do a lot for your work in a decade. Just don't think that you're gonna, get great in a year or something. Maybe you do. I don't know. It didn't happen for me like that. But I think a lot of people do that where they put too much emphasis on how good they can get in a year or two. You just got to look at it like it's a long-term gameplay, but you can really transform your work if you stay with it. And I think mainly with comic art, it's so hard because there's just so much to learn. It's not just one thing. Like if you were just drawing, like you ever see those booths at comic shows and they just draw a bunch of faces of the superheroes? So it's a whole booth of faces. And and I'm impressed, but then I'm not because I'm like, yeah, you can draw all their faces, cool. But then you look at somebody over there in the artist alley and they are doing these beautiful, intense page layout after layout and sequential storytelling, and they got no line. And they got this big booth selling faces has this huge line. It's so not evenly distributed. You know, what I mean, it's so, I mean, I get it why the one dude's doing well because of marketing. He's marketing and selling face shots, which it's weird that people would be so into that, but they are. But then you got this guy over there in Artist Alley or whatever, pouring his heart and soul into sequential storytelling and all this work and effort, and then people are kind of glancing as they walk by. I always thought that was kind of strange. Yeah, Chad, you're way too kind. That's that's very nice of you to say. You know, there's a lot of great artists out there. If you're thinking I'm the best, you just gotta look around. There's people that are way better than me at this stuff. But I truly appreciate the compliment. That's very kind of you. You're gonna give me a big head, and now I'm gonna get stuck in doorways. And Atomic, what did you put here? Gonna be relooking at your course. I remember using them at the beginning. Gonna be fun to redo the work. Yeah, and I need to update a lot of them too. So that's the part that I have to do to make sure that it's interesting for you to revisit. So a lot of those courses, the neatest part about it is if I stay current with them and update them with new lessons, they keep growing and they're more interesting. Like that's kind of the way it beats a book. So, you buy a book, and don't get me wrong, I revisit my art books as often as possible. I always gain something from it because I never learned everything from every book or any book for that matter. So I always revisit them, and it's always worthwhile to do that. But what's neat about courses is you can update them with new lectures and new art files or whatever, and they just keep growing. I mean, it's pretty sweet. Like I am a big fan of art courses, or courses in general, I should say, and video in general, but or courses especially because again, there's just so much power and potential into transforming your work or whatever you're trying to learn by having a visual instructor. I've always done better with video. Like I remember back in the day when they started making the videos that they did for comics. Those art videos, Stan Lee stuff, the Gnome Workshop, the what else? Well, even Bob Ross. It's like I was just like in amazement by that stuff. There was another one that was like a Bob Ross that would show you how to draw stuff. It wasn't quite comic art, but I remember it was like how to draw some perspective or a spaceship. It was a little less advanced, and I remember really digging those. I wish I could remember which one those were, what the name was, but I remember they did a lot of little like sci-fi stuff. Not too intense, like it wasn't like the intensity of comics or anything like that, but it was still very impressive when I was a kid, and so I was still super impressed by it. But you're talking back in the day when it was like VHS, and it's hilarious. Things have sure changed a lot. Yeah, it might have been that. So Lefty Blues is saying I watched the guy on PBS. It probably was PBS. I could definitely see that. I'm gonna have to do some googling. Yeah, and Bob Ross was freaking amazing. That dude was pretty much like magical to watch. And what's cool about him is that he did do things that look so freaking amazing, but he didn't make you feel as by watching him that you were incapable of doing it. And I think that's a really hard thing for anybody to do when they're that good at something, to not just almost make you feel like, well, there's no way I could do that. He was so inspiring, as he delivered this amazing content. And what's the one I'm not getting? What the one guy's mentioned? I don't get what you're saying, Eric. Where you're saying I asked before what drawing Spider-Man's mean when it comes to improving your pose and such. Got some answers from the comments, but what would you kindly elaborate what drawing a Spider-Man means? I don't get what you're asking. You know what I mean, just drawing Spider-Man, right? But I'm not saying that drawing Spider-Man as a technique. I'm saying the actual character. Are you getting that? I guess I don't understand that question. Sorry. Yeah, see, and this is exactly why I was thinking like one of the parts of the giveaway, I might do a couple hours of mentorship because it's kind of hard to, read comments, discern exactly what you mean, deliver an answer that helps, and then do that with a bunch of people, right? So, but when we go to do a live stream or two where we jump into StreamYard, I can bring you guys up, see your work. We can work back and forth on a particular panel shot and get into more detail. So that's where I'm thinking like the mentorship thing might be the next logical step so that I can help people more specifically, hopefully more effectively. Yeah, Bob Ross on backgrounds is great, even though it's not like comic book backgrounds, but at the same time, like Al Money's saying, he talks about atmospheric and shapes and texturing, and it really does apply. It's just you have to turn it into inked art, which is a bit different, but um, yeah, he's amazing to watch. I mean, I can't, I don't think anybody didn't come away as being a better artist from watching Bob Ross. Like you definitely learned something watching that guy. Probably learned to be a better person just from watching him. So if you're not a good person and you're watching this live stream, you need to go watch Bob Ross. You know who I'm talking to right now. You know who you are. You know what you've done. But I don't really understand. Should one study the character from comics because he does a lot of acrobatics and try to Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so Spider-Man is a good one, but only if you're really trying to loosen up a character. You're trying to draw a character that's overly animated in their posing. Like, all right, I look at it like this. If you want to draw Batman better, you could study from artists that draw, um, variations of Batman. You could draw Moon Knight. You could draw. Help me out, people. Like you associate the character to another set of characters, which really helps you out. For one, that sounds messed up, but you can jack poses pretty quick, right? No one's, it's a lot less likely somebody's going to call you copying if you grab a Moon Knight pose and turn it into Batman. You still want to be a bit more, creative than that. You don't want to just swipe everything in. But but the thing is, when you do swipe something and you redraw it, you will learn from that. But if you take Spider-Man, he's pretty. I don't know. There's a lot of characters you could relate to Spider-Man unless you're talking like, different versions of Spidey. Um, he's pretty individual as far as that goes, I think. Yeah, I could see that on money. You could use Black Panther for Batman. I could definitely see that. Um, but usually you can associate those characters and then, utilize that as great reference. You could go from Marvel and DC and they have a lot of characters that are basically just, I mean, they're copies of the other side. A lot of them. I mean, not all of them, but there's definitely versions of that. But I think what people are telling, or what you might be thinking when I say draw Spider-Man is Spider-Man is just very, yeah, he's acrobatic, he's elastic, he's stretchy, crazy, contorted poses. It's going to test your range of drawing the body into something more extreme. Where, like, so for instance, with Batman, it's very easy to just draw him stiff all the time. It's easy to sit here and do this too much. Like that could be a Batman pose, but instead of his hand looking all weird like that, I could do like him holding his one of his weapons, right? That could easily be a Batman pose, but it's stiff. It's a bit lifeless. Generally, when I do these, I'm more focused on doing some rendering like that. That's kind of why I did that. Like, so I have this different game plan. I might do more with the rendering, or lay it out in a way where I could focus on the cape more. Not even that. It was more because I wanted to render like that. But with somebody like with Spidey, again, you're going to kind of go past the range of normal movement as well. So you're not going to be able to use that for a lot of other characters. So I don't know. But yeah, I will associate it to a character that's similar as. Um, I'll tell you, for a while there, for even Spider-Man or comics in general, I look at gymnasts. Like I just watched the Olympics, and I mean, those people are superheroes. Like that is great reference. Now, obviously, if you're going to draw somebody like Spider-Man, you got to take it even a little bit further. But the gymnasts in there and the moves they do and the action, the anatomy, I mean, just amazing reference for comics. And then for fight scenes, I always say this: UFC, kickboxing, boxing, even. Boxing is a little more difficult because they got the gloves and great for upper body anatomy, obviously. UFC is fantastic all the way around. You get some super dynamic kicks and grappling, and you want to draw fight scenes, go right to UFC. That's some of the best reference you can find, and you just got to make time to sit there and draw those in your own style, and then and then push past that as well. So you're going to draw it, you're going to learn what the body can do, but then for comics, you're going to take it a bit further. Oh, my bad. All right, I see you guys are talking about me. I'm sorry, I can't read this fast, talking and draw. I'm going to need to get an assistant someday. Okay, so yeah, Kung Fu movies, good one, Tomic. It's easier for me to glance at the bottom comment. So if I miss it, you guys just say it again. Um, okay, so Max Power, great name by the way, says, "What's your opinion on the manga anime industry?" Um, I'm not as big of a fan as some of you probably are. Now, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I love it. Like I love a lot of the movies. I love. I don't know if you guys would consider this even related, but I'm a big fan of like Gantz O and what they did there. The movie, the 3D version. So I need to go back and check out the what it was derived from. Was that from a book or from an animated series? But I'm trying to get back into it. I used to like back in the day. I loved Robotech. Was it Robotech? Yeah, Robotech, Voltron, all that stuff. I know it's way back, but that was the stuff I was into big time as a kid. And I got so caught up into American comics and that, and there's been so much great content for that surrounding animations and movies that yeah, it's hard to like keep up with everything. But I love the creativity that gets poured into those. I mean, and I think it's really super cool when you find artists that take inspiration from that and combine it with American comics. So people that come to mind are like Jim Lee and Art Germ. I think both of them have one of the reasons they're probably so. I mean, they're super fantastic artists, but I love how they combine those together to form their styles. And obviously that goes in there. Joe Mad. There's all sorts of different styles that do that really well. Um, but yeah, I honestly I can't keep up. I generally gravitate towards the ones that I can listen to uh, and still draw. So if they're subtitled, that takes those right out of the list for me because I like to hear the story. So, and I know they're not all like that, but I'm just saying that does shorten down the, what's on my radar because I'm big into listening to the story as I draw what I'm doing here. I'll tell you what are some good ones I should be checking out? How about you guys tell me that so I can go in with yeah, Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Batman. Is that a thing or are you just making a joke there? I'm like a Bob Ross but more modern and comic. Well, thank you. I will take that as a insanely cool compliment. All right, now we're gonna do some happy little bricks. Happy little bricks. That dude was awesome. Vagabond, Demon Slayer. It's a thing, the anime series. A lot of these are on Netflix, right? I got, yeah, Berserk. Okay. Yeah, I got a lot to watch. And there has been a bit of a lapse in my visual library because it seems like everything for the next season is coming out very, very slow. Anybody notice that? Like you got all these seasons of what is it like? Um, the Boys, the next season, and what's that? Not till next year. Actually, those been coming out a little bit faster in succession. Um, Witcher, the following season for that. Um, Looks awesome, by the way. You guys see the trailer for that? Looks like they got a lot more of a hike in their budget or something. Like they have, it looks a lot bigger scale from what I could tell. But anyways, waiting for that. What's another one? Ozark. I'm into that. Want to get that final season. What else? But yeah, it seems like because of the whole COVID mess that things really got pushed back and everything's been coming out a bit slower. Oh, appreciate that, Lefty Blues. I'll check that out. Tubi. Wheel of Time. I thought he said Wheel of Fortune. You know, when I saw Wheel of Fortune, me and my son been playing that. He's 7, and he is a freaking Wheel of Fortune master. This kid's like he's like guessing the phrases, and he doesn't even know what the phrases mean. How are you doing this? I gotta get you on that show. So, anyways, that's why I saw Wheel of Fortune when you said Wheel of Time. Forgive me. The mind sees what the mind wants to see, I guess, or what's fresh in my mind. Wheel of Time will be on Amazon Prime, and it rhymes. Yeah, I got Amazon Prime, so I can check that one out immediately. Yeah, what's up with all these streaming services? Like it's gotten out of control. They all have one. Like they all want to get on the money train on that deal. It's like, why am I paying for Comcast? Well, I know why, because that's the only way I'm gonna get cable. But I definitely gotta make sure I'm not getting any movies on there. Yeah, Igor, he is good at drawing. He doesn't place a whole lot of effort into it at this point, but he does he does well at it. He likes to draw. He's a big Thomas fan, Thomas and Friends. So he likes to draw those characters. He likes to make me draw those characters, and literally makes me draw them. Like he bosses me around. It's pretty funny, but what are you gonna do? He's my kid. I gotta listen to him occasionally. Invincible season 2. Yes, that was another one. I'm waiting for that. That's gonna be a good one. All right, and then let's see back here. Probably some more imperfections and cross hatching. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a video too where I draw out some basic layouts and then bring them over to the table and ink them traditionally. So I think I'm gonna do that too. I think that's what a lot of people are doing these days with the iPad Pros. That way they still end up with some traditional art, but they can speed through their layouts a bit better. Any of you guys try that method? Yeah, thanks, Eric, and appreciate you stopping by and watching. Thank you, Edith. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll need to cut it short here in a bit. Anyways, I'm gonna do a little bit more on this, and then I gotta go pick up my son from school. one of my days to get me boy. But hopefully this video has been somewhat fun to watch. Give you some ideas or something. And keep it in mind that we got that giveaway coming up. So all you guys got to do is share a video, send me that link, or send me that screen grab of it, and then I'll enter you into the contest to win. Or I shouldn't call it a contest, giveaway or whatever. It's not really a contest. You just automatically get entered in. And then I will, pick 1, 2, or 3 people, and we'll do a giveaway. So, and just remember, just to go over it again, it's going to be either you'll have options to go for original art, $100 worth of digital content, 2 hours of mentorship training on StreamYard, or digital art commission. So you guys will be able to pick. That way, if I got more options out there, it's more available to anybody that might be more difficult to ship something to. Just options are always a good thing. Chad, what are you saying? Hey, Robert, what do you think about Man Raid? SpongeBob SquarePants villain? No, that dude's hilarious. No, my son's totally into SpongeBob, and my girl doesn't like it. Or she likes it, but she doesn't fully like it because some of the humor there is very mean. Like they say a lot of mean stuff, a lot of insults. Plankton cracks me up, but he's a very mean little piece of plankton. And, so he says some some things that are a little suspect, and every now and then she'll give me a look, and I don't know if he should be watching this. I'm like, what are you going to do? He's a kid, but I get it. Like, you don't want to have your kids watching stuff that's ultimately negative, but all cartoons kind of slide stuff in, right? But yeah, I know people that don't even let their kids watch SpongeBob, because of the stuff they say. But that bad guy is pretty hilarious. I have a tough time with all that, though. It's like you want to shelter your kids to protect them, but then you can't. You better not take that too far, because that can negatively impact them as well. Life is tough. You got to get them. Got to get them ready for it. But not at 7. I'm not saying that. Anyways. Better not get into parenting debates here. Let's see what else here. How about the dirty bubble? Yeah, I know it. There's tons of hilarious characters in there. How do you enter the giveaway? So share any video from the channel here on your favorite social media, wherever. It could be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And then just do a screen grab. Send me the screen grab through my email. My email is ramstudiocomics.com. There's an email form, contact form. Attach it to there. I'll get it. And then I will enter you into the contest to win the giveaway. And then give it a couple weeks so everybody has a chance to, enter in. And then I will release the details of who won. And we'll go from there. Yeah, so there's where we're at. Obviously I still got some time on this one. Not too much because I think I might keep the rendering on him relatively light. I'm not sure yet though, but I'll finish inking the brickwork in this side over here. This background, I'm just going to do like a shape kind of thing. I think. Well, not that messy. But some kind of shape fill. Like this. And then I'll probably come back with an eraser. And I'll crosshatch enough times where it starts to look a bit more atmospheric. You have to keep going back and forth, and a lot of times you can vary up the brush size too, but I think this will be enough. Probably looks weird at first, but then as you do it and you pull back, it kind of works, and then it gives you a nice way to color that background. And you can get in here and do a couple little windows or something here and there and spruce it up. You know, stuff like that. So at any rate, I'm going to bring this one to a close. I really appreciate everybody stopping by and watching this and listening to me ramble about just about everything. And yeah, let me know, comment in the video. It'll go live here in a bit. Comment on any video. Let me know what you guys want to see, what you think is a good idea for the giveaway. Again, this was a little bit of a feedback kind of video, let you guys know the giveaway is happening, and then also get your feedback. So I make sure that I deliver on some stuff you guys actually want, you know. I mean, shoot, we could even do like $100 gift card or something. I just want it to be something that I can get to the right people. So if you're somewhere on the other side of the globe, I didn't want to just be like, yeah, I'll send you out a sketch of your favorite character, whatever, and then I couldn't mail it to them. So I thought I needed to be a little bit more versatile with the options there. Yeah, I would, Chad, but I got to go pick up my son in a bit, so I gotta get ready for that. But I appreciate the fact that you want me to keep on going. And usually 2 hours is about my limit. I like to take breaks here and there and eat food, stuff like that. But yeah, thanks so much for everybody tuning in and watching. I hope you got something from this, and I would love to know what you think about future videos. And I can't believe we hit 200,000 subscribers. That's insane. So onward and forward to 1 million? I don't know. Our next milestone video would probably be at 500,000. I doubt we'll get to that, but you never know. I also didn't think we'd get to 200,000. So thanks very much. Good luck with your art. Keep drawing. Keep having fun. And I will talk to you soon.